We have one more speaker for you for this half. They are the Division Director of Incarceration Reduction for Community Service Council. Their interesting fact is she was born at home, unplanned, and her dad delivered her. So I feel not as cool of a dad now. Do not deliver my own kid. Her talk is called Thinking Outside the Cell. You guys, round of applause for Tammy, Westcott.
All right, it's time to think outside the cell. What kind of cell am I talking about? The prison cell. You all know we need to think outside the cell now more than ever. Alternative courts, or treatment courts as they call them, are the greatest, there we go, the greatest innovation in criminal justice in the last 20 years. Now I realize the innovation of slicing bread probably affects your life more every day, but this is the greatest innovation for those with substance use and mental health disorders that get caught in the criminal justice system. Drug courts started in Miami-Dade, Florida, because they saw the problem. Then those spread all across the nation. Next we added DUI courts, then mental health courts. And finally, our latest innovation that is started just the most recently is Veterans Treatment Court. Veterans Treatment Court started in Buffalo, New York by a great judge named Judge Russell. What he probably wouldn't want me to tell you is that he really likes to gamble too. But he's an incredible judge. And Tulsa was the third Veterans Treatment Court in the whole nation. What you might not know is that we also train other teams for Veterans Treatment Courts. So what do we have? Tulsa has amazing courts. We have Youthful Drunk Driving Program, Crash Court, DUI Court for males and females. We also have a co-occurring docket for those with mental illness but aren't bad enough for a mental health court. We have DUI court for females and males. We have a mental health court for those with an SMI diagnosis, and we have a veterans treatment court. All of these courts serve defendants who have mental illness and or substance use disorder. It helps us think outside the cell and do a lot better. Where do we get our funding, you might ask, because we're all worried about taxpayer dollars, right? We are funded from the Oklahoma Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse. Also, Tulsa County is very generous. Tulsa County gives us some money each year, and then participants pay a small fee. It's a totally different approach. You've all heard about the criminal justice system. It's adversarial, right? People fighting against each other. In this court, we all come together to help the defendant. Yes, even the prosecutor and the defense counsel come together to try and rehabilitate people rather than send them to prison. It's not a get out of jail free card, folks. They have to do a lot. They have to do counseling. They have a supervision officer. We can do home visits. They have to come to court and see a judge, and they have to UA 2 to 3 times a week. They have to call a line every day to see if they have to UA. The great thing about it is we have changed lives without a felony conviction. That makes it easier for them to get a job, to get housing, to actually have a productive life and become taxpayers rather than tax consumers in prison. It works, folks. We have positive impact. The studies show that if you're released from prison, you will recidivate at about 67%. Drug court is about 1/3 of that. So we have people committing crimes a lot less. And guess what? Their lives are changed. Expectations are high. We don't let you out easy. You have to either increase your employment or get education. You have to have a long period of sobriety before we let you walk across that graduation stage. And we want to make sure you have safe and sober housing so that you don't go back to the way that you were before. This is a really highly refined process. There's a treatment team for each of those dockets that I just told you about. The treatment team consists of the judge, the prosecutor, the district attorney, the coordinator, treatment. Everyone comes together before the docket. And you know what? They talk about every single person that's going to be on the docket the next day. They talk about what kind of response they need in treatment, if they need incentives, if they need sanctions. What is going to help them move down the road to become a productive, sober citizen? Treatment courts work. At our last graduation for drug court, DUI court, and veterans treatment court, almost 50% of the grads had furthered their employment or education. Out of those 66 graduates, 21 of them had quit smoking. We don't even make them do that. They just did it. The average monthly income rose by $1,900, and those that had visitation rights or child custody rose by 40%. Those people are less likely to come back in the criminal justice system because we changed their life and didn't just put them inside the cell. Here's the sad part, folks. 77% of the people we sent to incarceration in FY17 in the state of Oklahoma were nonviolent offenders. That was 7,328 individuals. treatment should have been a first option for most of them. And it's cost saving. Treatment courts are effective. Do you know that we can treat them outside of the prison cell and have better results for $5,000 versus sending them to prison for $19,000? That's what makes sense. So far, since our inception, just in drug court alone, we have graduated 1,221 defendants who their lives have been changed, and we have saved taxpayers $17 million. That doesn't include Veterans Court and DUI Court. That's just drug court, folks. Mass incarceration simply doesn't work, and it's costly. I'm sad to say that Oklahoma just became #1 in incarceration across the entire United States. There is a better way. We can incarcerate those who are a true risk to public safety, but it's time that we start choosing treatment and alternatives to incarceration for nonviolent offenders who have substance use or mental health disorder.